How's it going, everyone? Sorry for my response drop. Today is October 30th, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the major Arctic blast that's expected to impact a lot of the eastern half of the United States headed into November, where we could see temperature departures up to 10 to 20 degrees below average in some areas along the East Coast. And we'll also talk about how much warmer it will be along the West Coast as well. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the GFS model. And when it comes to temperature anomalies right now, you see that it's currently varied all throughout each region of the United States. We are experiencing cooler than average conditions throughout the southeast at this time, mainly due to the fact that there is a little bit of a strong northerly flow going on right around the southeast at this point. Closer to the northeast, the temperatures are hovering right around average. There's a little bit of a low pressure area, so there's a lot of convergence going on along the surface, which is heating up the temperatures just a little bit to more be in line with around the average range. And if we were to take a look at the Midwest, you see that there are portions of the Midwest where it's warmer than average at this time, but we see the Northwest Pacific is cooler than average, and most of the Southwest is currently warmer than average. But you see right along the California coast, the temperatures are currently cooler than average, and this is as a result of the cooler than average sea surface temperatures off the Pacific Ocean. And of course, the ocean or a body of water plays a big role in terms of what type of temperatures you'll experience within a given area, as they are as water has a very high heat capacity, and it holds and it really determines the air temperature overall for a lot of areas in the United States. But here's how temperature anomalies look right now, but it's currently expected to change because like I've been saying in my previous videos, we're expecting a pretty significant jet stream dip to occur along the eastern half of the United States. If we were to take a look at the precipitation forecast to give you guys a better idea where that jet stream is located, you see here's the low pressure I'm talking to you guys about, and here's that northerly flow I was talking to you guys about that's currently bringing the cooler than average conditions throughout the southeast and warmer than average conditions, or at least temperatures more in line with the average around the northeast as a result of convergence going on around low pressure system. And when air molecules converge, there isn't a ton of space between them, so they begin to move around a little bit more, and that movement creates work, and that work is converted into heat, which heats up the atmosphere overall for the northeast. So the temperatures are more in line with around average throughout the northeast, but you see it's quickly about to change because there's going to be a pretty significant trough that's going to be located right around Canada by this time, headed into tomorrow, Halloween Day, October 31st, 2021. You see that the low pressure becomes quite strong right around Canada, and with it, it brings a strong northerly flow into the northern United States, and that brings down a lot of that cooler air that's trapped in Canada further southward into the United States. So we begin to see temperatures cool down in the northern portions of the United States, and it impacts a lot of the Great Lakes region. And you see the jet stream dips pretty far southward for the month of November, where we see the jet stream dip as far south as the mid-Atlantic states, where we're seeing much cooler than average temperatures throughout the East Coast. And you see that the jet stream dip extends to the Midwest as well, as the most likely scenario is that the colder air will be centered somewhere along the eastern half of the United States, most likely just east of the Mississippi River Valley. But we also will see cooler than average conditions throughout the Midwestern states just west of the Mississippi River Valley, such as Minnesota and the eastern portion of the Dakotas. So you guys certainly need to keep in mind of a pretty significant Arctic blast that's going to occur into next week. And you might be asking, well, when will this begin for a lot of the United States? So if we were to take a look at the timing, for a lot of the Great Lakes and the northern United States overall, this should begin as early as Monday, November 1st, and this should begin from northeast the day after on Tuesday, November 2nd, where we will begin to see that cold air dip far enough southward. And even We might even see some lake effect rain showers or even snow showers. As you see, the GFS model is showing a little bit of the blue contours right around the Great Lakes, which represents snowfall. So there could be that possibility of some light lake effect snow out of this Arctic blast. Of course, the snowfall won't be anything significant or really to worry about, but it really goes to show how cold the temperatures will be headed into the first week of November, as you guys really should experience your first winter-like week for the 2021-2022 winter season. So this will be new to you guys. Make sure to get those coats ready, because we're going to see those temperatures dip well below average, and it's going to be quite a departure from what we experienced from the majority of October for a lot of eastern half of the United States, where the temperatures were much warmer than average, and we should see temperatures now cool down for to begin November for a lot of the eastern half of the United States. Now, taking a look exactly at how much cooler than average temperatures you guys should experience. So if we were to take a look at the temperature anomaly right around the 2 meter mark, where temperature readings are usually measured, you see that as of right now. We see that jet stream dip, and by November 1st, majority of the Midwest as well as the Great Lakes are under cooler than average conditions. So this is in the Celsius range. If we were to take a look, you see that Minnesota and the Dakotas, I'd say the temperatures are right around, I'd say 2.5 to 6 degrees below average in terms of the Celsius range, which is equivalent to right around, I'd say, around 1 to 2 degrees below average for most of the northern United States, and maybe a little bit more. But you see the purples right around Nebraska and Kansas, which represent temperature departures up to 20 degrees below average in terms of the Fahrenheit range, and around 12 degrees below average in the Celsius range. So this would be a very significant cool down for a lot of you guys. And then headed into November 2nd, this extends to the Northeast, where New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Boston are getting involved in cooler than average conditions, as we see the darker blues, of course, representing very much cooler than average conditions overall. And you might be asking, how long will this last? So for the Midwest, it should end a little bit earlier, because of course, as the jet stream moves from westerly to easterly direction, so eventually this jet stream dip will move further eastward, far enough eastward to a point where the cooler than average conditions should end earlier for you guys. I'd say for Dakotas, it should end primarily on Friday, where we will begin to see warmer than average conditions just to the west of this jet stream dip right around the Friday time frame. But you see that for the Northeast, this is expected to continue, I'd say, until next week, early next week, where even on Sunday, November 7th, the temperatures are still expected to be much cooler than average as a result of this jet stream dip. Of course, there could be changes, because I'm forecasting this right around 7 days from now, so we could see it maybe end, this Arctic blast end a little bit earlier for you guys in the Northeast than expected, or a little bit later than you guys. There's still uncertainty regarding when exactly this Arctic blast will end, but it should last a pretty long time, as pretty much both the main computer models are agreeing with that. If we were to take a look at the temperature anomaly provided by the European model, you see that November 7th, the European model also agrees it's expected to be cooler than average show for a lot of the Northeast, and this extends to Tuesday, November 9th. Again, this is going well into the future, so take it with a big grain of salt. But the European model is also expecting temperatures to become much cooler than average for this week for a lot of the United States, and some of it, we could see temperatures well below average, especially in the southeast or right around the Ohio River Valley, where we do see temperature readings around 16 degrees to 20 degrees below average when it comes to the Celsius range. So a pretty significant drop off in temperature for the eastern half of the United States, while for the western half, it should be mostly warmer than average. Of course, when we see a jet stream dip in one area, chances are the other area is going to be warmer than average, because when there's a big jet stream dip, the northerly wind component brings down that cold air, and it forces a warmer air to move upwards, and it's going to happen right around the west coast of the United States, where we're going to see temperatures well above average for this week for the most part. So you guys should enjoy it while it lasts, especially for Pacific Northwest, where you guys typically won't experience warmer than average conditions a lot during a La Nina winter. So you definitely want to enjoy it while it lasts, but it's still expected to be cooler than average winter for you guys in the Pacific Northwest. So just might as well enjoy it while it lasts for the Pacific Northwest. But for the East Coast, prepare for your first winter-like week when it comes to temperatures, as temperatures should be much cooler than average for this week. And in terms of the exact temperatures, you should expect, let's take a look at the temperature forecast provided by the GFS model. We're going to take a look at the high temperatures and the low temperatures. So if we were to take a look at that, this is the high temperature for November 6th on Saturday, and we're seeing temperatures down to the 40s for a lot of the Great Lakes region, which is below average. 51 right around New York City, 50 around Boston, which is cooler than average, and it's pretty much and we're seeing a little bit warmer than average conditions to the Midwest, because like I said, this should end right around the weekend for you guys for the Midwest. But for the East Coast, we're seeing 40s and 50-degree readings as a high temperature, which is below average for a lot of you guys throughout the Northeast. Let's actually move a little bit forward. So this is October 31st. As highs, you see that the temperatures are still right around average, just slightly above average throughout the East Coast. We're still seeing 60s throughout the East Coast, but we're now seeing the temperatures drop into the 30s during 2 p.m. on October 31st, which is definitely below average for a lot of you guys. And then extending to November 1st, you see that. And in terms of the lows, you see that the temperatures will drop to the 20s as lows on throughout Monday morning, which is below average. And we should see temperature readings in the 30s in some cases throughout the East Coast as well, extending to lows on November 2nd. The lows should continue to stay around the 20s in the northern Midwest, and we should see 30-degree temperatures as lows throughout the Northeast as well. So temperatures will remain below average. And then continuing on to the next low, you see that we could see lows down to the 20s in the higher elevations in the Northeast, and close to the freezing mark right around the Interstate 95 corridor. So we could see our first frost of the year in early November throughout the East Coast from this Arctic blast. And then you see the temperatures should reach their coldest right around November 5th, right around 8 a.m. You see the lows, we're seeing a lot of lows in the 20s throughout the Northeast, which is much colder than average. So make sure to stay prepared for a pretty big departure when it comes to temperature anomalies throughout the United States for this week. And what won't help is the fact that we're expecting a negative Arctic oscillation for the early week of November, which will promote more jet stream dips, because during a negative Arctic oscillation, we typically see colder than average conditions, and because the westerly winds are weaker, and we're more likely to see that cold air in Canada divert further southward instead of get trapped by the westerly winds. So as a result, we should expect colder than average temperatures for the first week of November as a result of a negative Arctic oscillation expected for the first week of November. So that's something to keep in mind. And while the good news is it will rebound back to a positive phase for those who don't like cold, so we're less likely to see a prolonged period of colder air throughout the United States, but we still should see much colder than average conditions for the beginning of November for a lot of the eastern half of the United States. Now, in terms of my forecast, I'm expecting the worst of the cold to be right around the Ohio River Valley to the southeast, where I'm expecting it to be much colder than average. This is based off of what the GFS model is forecasting and the European model is forecasting. So this forecast should be fairly reliable, much colder than average just outside of that in darker blue, not as much colder as, let's say, if you were in the pink, but still much colder than average overall, and colder than average for you see most of the eastern half of the United States, with the exception of maybe the southern portion of Florida. And then you see that the western United States, I'm expecting warmer than average conditions as a result of a pretty big trough moving through. That's going to force a lot of warmer air further upwards, and we should see a big ridge bring a strong southerly flow throughout the west coast, which will warm up temperatures throughout the west coast for this week. So this is my Arctic blast forecast. Make sure to get those coats ready throughout the eastern half of the United States, because it's definitely gonna feel like winter for this week. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have